My friend, my friend. Today we're going to be talking about pentatonics. What are pentatonics? Well, they somewhat would be called the building blocks of music. In the sense that when we have a scale in the Western ear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 becomes a very standard way of playing. When we learn how to play scales and learn how to play modes, we generally learn them in a certain order so we could wrap our brains around what dependent upon those 7-note systems. Now, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, we have our consonants. We have some dissonant tones, which allow us to hear a little bit of tension. And then in combination with some sort of pattern, G pentatonic would incorporate the 1, the 2, the 3, the 5, and the 6. It is very similar to your C pentatonic, giving you the 1, the 2, the 3, skip the 4, 5, 6, skip the 7, the 1. So when looking for patterns on the piano, we can hear how the notes work together. There are many, many different teachers out there that are way more qualified on piano to show you the correct fingering patterns, but from what I've learned for learning finger placement, scales, and otherwise, it's really situational. It happens to be if you're doing like you would be moving your fingers in a different placement, knowing that the force that you are playing can always be moved in perfect intervals, right? So one of the things we look for is our hand placement, knowing a little bit about our piano. Now, if we're going to be talking about just doing something that's, let's say, over here on the board, guitar is another fun one. And once you learn one position for your fingerings, it really extends towards everything else you're going to learn. So if you have questions about what any of these shapes are up on the board, please ask. However, we're going to be taking a look at our first pattern, and we're going to be talking just a little bit about how these notes work out for the fretboard. Again, one of the coolest things you can do in the beginning is to actually set yourself up for success and learn the fretboard. So today we're going to go over the circle fifths in the beginning. We're going to talk about the key of, let's say, let's keep it simple, C major and A minor. They have relative major and relative minor. And then how we can get from one of these chord structures and move it all around your fretboard. This also adheres to any stringed instrument that has a board, a fretboard. In the key of G major. G major then would go 5 notes away to D, D goes to A to E, E to B, B to F sharp to C sharp. These are just the sharps. When you see that you could go to any one of these keys, like our D major here, and say it has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So when you play your pentatonics on your instrument of choice, you define what key you're in. D, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major. We've got an A major, a B minor, C sharp diminished, and then a D again. All these are composed of dyads that make up a triad. These 2 notes are the harmony. That is a major third. That is what a dyad looks like. The other third is a minor third. That is the chord construction of a major chord. All sonorities like D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, and then D again, they rely on the first 2 notes. Major third, minor third, minor third, major third, major third, minor third, minor third, major third. The last one is considered to be a 5 dominant, because in every key, like a D major, the 5th, A, can be played in root position and add its minor 7th. In the key of A, we have A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. So rather than playing the major 7, which is a great chord, you know, we put it down to its minor 7th, and that feels like a C sharp diminished, or even a C sharp diminished F. But when we're laying down this A major triad and then we put a C sharp diminished over, it feels like it wants to go into D major, or at best, it could even go into the common tone. Right? To D minor as well. Heck, you could even go into the relative minor of that. You could do your A7 into your B minor. That feels awfully good as well. But that's a little bit further in the theory concept we want to go. When learning your pentatonics, it's good to have a little root foundation, which is why we're doing the circle of fifths rap. Yeah, super weird. So when we have these two sharps, we're laying it out. What do we say we're going to be in? We're going to say we're going to be in the key of C. Awesome. So getting rid of these sharps, we have just our open staff. This is our treble. And to show what they look like on the staff, we've got a C, we've got a D, we have an E, we skip the F, we hit a G, and we have an A. And then you can go back and hit that C again. All these notes are wonderful to play when you are playing your pentatonic. Now, if we look at it through the eyes of the minor, which is still the same, no sharps, no flats, we would then have C, right below C is a B, and then A. Now, rather than going up to here and leading up, we're just going to have our A. The next note we have after our A is exactly the minor third, the C. Then we've got a D. We've got, when we go up to the last note here, it's the same as these. So C, D, E, skip the F, G, and then A. What we're essentially doing is taking a note off the top, the C, and keeping it here rather than having the prime there, and then we're ending with the A. That's what the key of C looks like for our C major pentatonic. And then we've got our A minor pentatonic. These two are the foundation for pattern regurgitation. So, in a nutshell, if you like numbers, this is going to be kind of aloha, how are you doing? One of the things we like to do is like kind of learn fingerings for each one of these instruments. When we look at the fretboard here, and we draw them in, first fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret, fifth fret, sixth fret, seventh fret, eighth fret, ninth fret. We got all 10th fret and 11th fret, and it goes to our 12th. Ta-da! Wish there was a grid maker. But this 12th fret repeats on everything here, and then we just lay out the strings of our guitar. So, when doing that, we would be looking at having a high E, a low E, an A, a D, a G, a B. The instrument itself, when we go from A to A sharp or B flat, we hit a B and then a C. With E, we have E and then it goes to F. We have F sharp, then G, G sharp, then A. You can do the whole line, and the top line is the exact same because they're both the same note. Now what happens is we go through kind of all these to lay them out. We're doing the key of C, so there's no need to actually put all of these. And I want to go back and just erase the tones that aren't in the 7-note diatonic system. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and do. So when we have C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. E sharp, of course, is an F. F, F sharp, G, G, G sharp, A sharp, then B again, where it repeats the whole thing all over again. A, of course, A goes over here to B. We have our C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and then E, of course, it's the same at the 12th. So what I like to do is just knock these out so I know where I'm going to when I'm writing all this mumbo jumbo. And I repeat my line. Then when I'm learning, I can see the distance between a C and a D. When you write out your fretboard like this, it starts to make more sense that you start to visualize where these notes are. D, E, F, G, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then lastly, our G line. Now, the G line is a little bit different. When we do all of these, E to an A up to the 5th fret right here is what we would call a fourth. E, F sharp, G sharp, A. It's a perfect fourth from E, as is A to D, D to G. However, when we go here, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, this is not a fourth. That would be a fourth, the C. The G line is tuned to a major third. The note above it is that major third, just like every one of these, except it's now not on the 5th fret, it's on the 4th. When we go through E to A to D, D to G, G to B, 4th, 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 3rd, 4th, 4th. Hope that made sense. If not, maybe check out some of my live stuff here on there, or just Google intervals and different notes that are actually the positions. Going over them just super quickly, we have the tonic, the root, the prime, the foundation, and then we move to the second one, which allows us to see how when we move up in tone, we're quite simply going C to D. Well, that C to D right there allows us to play over the top and see D to E. This is a natural half step. Whole step, whole step, whole step, because it skips a note, and then natural half step for the resolution. So when going through all these notes, we've already talked about the sonority of what these would be, the actual feeling of them, and how they sound, whether they're major or minor. You know what? I think I might just get rid of that chordy thing. It's not actually doing anything. There we go. So when we're playing through these chords and we see that in the key of C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, the notes that we choose, they tend to be pretty interesting. So you pick different patterns so you can get to one note after another. Some of the really cool stuff we're going to talk about later is how to do grace notes, where you put a note that's really not supposed to be in R, and you can do little notes in between up and down. These allow us to form little melodies and have fun whilst doing it. Going back to the guitar here, when we're playing on these notes, we've got our fretboard all layered out. You notice a couple really interesting things about the key of C. The resolution tone that goes through all these is not present on that 11th fret. Very cool. And then as far as these up here, the first one that I have all the way up in the corner, this one is considered the pattern 1. With the pattern 1, we're allowed to take this shape and throw it directly on here. And as you can see, anytime that you would go to something that has these notes right here, you can actually start that for a pentatonic system. So if you wanted to go to these two notes right here, the A and the B, and have that note, you'd see how you would have A, B, C sharp, E. A, B, C sharp, E. Now I know there's no C sharp here, but that's where it presides. And because there are 3 sharps in the key of A, you would change this whole grid for A major and its relative minor, F sharp minor. So once knowing that our circle fifths provides us our 7-note system, that's really where we break it down. And because you have 2 less notes, the chances of hitting wrong notes are lessened by 2. Math. All right, so we're in the key of C. I'm just going to erase this. I'm going to put up our Roman numeral analysis so we can take a gander. We've got our 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, and 7 chord. C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, and then B diminished. Groovy. These are all the notes that are over here fretted out onto our board. And the idea behind this is when we take a gander at this first segment right here, if we were going to put it anywhere, we would see that the top 2 notes are different than the bottom 2 there. So one of the things we kind of want to do is we want to move through the scale positions so we can see them. The 2 most recognizable ones on this whole thing are pattern number 5 over here. And the reason why these are super interesting is because these are really the 2 patterns that you meet that go together. Now, all of these together charismatically could be either the major or the minor in any given key. So the process by which playing that and naming out your notes of 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, that's our major pentatonic. And then when we have our minor 1, and then we have our flat 3, we have our 4, we have our 5, and then we have our flat 7. When we look at this through the eyes of A major would have given us A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and G sharp. To make any major a minor, we flatten the median, the third, we flatten the submedian, the sixth, and we flatten the lending or leading tone to a minor 7. This one would reside the minor 6, minor 7, minor 3. This is the reason why A major does not share the key signature with C, but when you remove the 3, 6, and 7, A minor absolutely shares the key signature with C major. This is how pentatonics work. And depending on what point of attack you are playing at your any of those would be the amount of saying, if we were to play a scale and we go to our piano and we were to say, hey, we're going to play a D, what are we, C major here? C major. How about C Lydian? Well, we know that C Lydian, when we play all of C major and we move that up, we get to F. Well, F, as we know, is supposed to have a B flat in it, or else we wouldn't have a G minor, right? We wouldn't have a B flat major as the major fourth. You would have like a B diminished, and that just doesn't sound right. But that's what Lydian is. F major, G minor. If we don't have that B and we play a natural B, we would have F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, C. It changes the tonality of how you view F major now, because the one note that had its sense, that subdominant and then the dominant, have shifted, and you're putting it more towards your sharpened fourth. If we take the idea that every single one of these are modes, like C major is Ionian, then we have D Dorian, E Phrygian, then we have F Lydian. Well, it has a raised fourth. If we go to any other scale, like C major, and raise that fourth, because we would have had an F natural, now we have an F sharp. You can incorporate that F sharp into your C Lydian, and then utilize pentatonics along with that. It's not one or the other. It's both, whenever you want. So these are the constructions of pentatonics. What we try to do is see them in any key and every key. When we have these certain notes, they make up pattern recognition. And some of them we call just the 1 pattern, 2 pattern, 3 pattern, 4 pattern, 5 pattern. The reason why these are super kind of groovy is these notes right here will match up with other notes. Like when you take this and you put it right here, this strand of notes right here is this strand right here. So you can superimpose each one of these 2 back, and it would demonstrate that these 2 notes right here are the 2 notes from this pattern. These 2 notes right here are the 2 notes from this pattern. Thusly, these 2 notes right here are these, and then these 2 are right here. When we play this structure on any instrument, you will see that the notes that you choose will always shift, but they have a defined value. When we play this first pentatonic, you can move it from right here and play your 2-4. You would have your 1-4. You would then have 1-4, 1-3, 2-4, 2-4. Some of the stuff that I show and teach on this website is if you start playing your patterns, keeping your fingers on just 4 frets, you get used to playing in 4-fret patterns. These are just kind of mindless exercises. We call them spider exercises. A lot of people just call them finger exercises. They help us to move up and down the fretboard feeling out what a half step or a minor second is. That semitone is super important. One, when you're playing like major scales, C, D, E, F, that E to F is much easier to play like that, or do a slide, or use not improper fingering, but another finger that maybe you're making a chord out of it. Like if you're playing a 9 chord, you want to do a melodic run. You can move to different chords that you know, like D major 7, D dominant 7, and then move through tones of the scale. It's called tone leading. but sometimes you just want to rock. And a lot of times, the best way to do it is with these 5-note systems. So that first system, knowing that these are both dyads that work super good together, you can just with these 4 notes come up with some pretty cool melodies like hammer-ons and pull-offs. If you do it the other way, hammer-ons. If you do them in different orders, backwards. The whole idea is to find the notes of a pentatonic, play them in different melodic positions, and then see what those tones sound like together as individual notated notes, whether legato or staccato, whether you're palm muting it, playing on acoustic, playing on electric. You just need to spend time with the pentatonics. So what I'd suggest is don't pick all of these, just pick one of them. Have fun with it. Go and get a backing track off of the interwebs. And a good site to go to is Now Let's Jam or Okay Let's Jam. That's the one I really like. There's a big plethora of different genres. And then I guess if you're trying to work on pentatonics and you're looking for something to do and you are a country player, try to play reggae. If you're a singer-songwriter and you dabble in rap or something that flows, that you use lyrics in a percussive manner, maybe try and do country. The idea is when you start playing another genre and you use these concepts, you tend to notice things that you didn't notice in the genre you're playing. So if all you do is like, if you're doing bossa nova or something along those lines, maybe try playing a Nirvana song and then throwing some pentatonics over the top of it. Changing the way you think about music helps you to experience it through different eyes. This second pattern here, when we move it anywhere, if we were to take this same pattern and move this up as they were to stop, we would have this at 2, 4. So this note obviously is starting at the 4. We would have 4 to 6. All of these go up. And notice how on guitar, at least, I'm playing keeping my fingers centered over the 3rd fret, because I know that I'm playing here on the 4 and then I'm going to need to hit this note. These are the same. This is different because this is now a minor 3rd rather than a major 2nd. And then this is also a minor 3rd. So in my mind, the way that I mastered this pentatonic pattern is I compare it to this one. This had a major 2nd and then a minor 3rd. Minor 3rd, major 2nd, minor 3rd, minor 3rd. The correlation between middle finger, pinky, first finger, pinky, first finger, pinky, first finger, ring finger, middle finger, pinky, middle finger, pinky. When we see these notes moving up and you're keeping that same scale position, that now 4, 6, and then having your fingers go right above it, knowing that the one note you're going to hit is on the G string, gives you the 3rd. At this point, you could see how playing this finger wouldn't allow you to get the note that you're shooting for. So the truth is, you just play minor 3rds, and this is where everything kind of smooshes together. When you're working on like whole tone patterns, or hearing like, if you're playing like an A minor 7 with a flat 5, when hearing these kind of notes, you're actually looking to find them with your runs. So being able to hear the notes that are inside of like a minor 7 chord that has a flat 5, you can hear these diminished runs all over. Well, the feeling of doing a minor 3rd, first finger, skip, skip, play, we'd have first finger, pinky. You go over and up. That gives you your next minor 3rd. Over, up, next minor 3rd. On the B string, remember, the G was tuned to a minor 3rd. So not only do you have to go up a fret, a string, but you go up another fret. And then it gives you another minor 3rd, and then up and over, pattern returns to a minor 3rd. These runs are awesome. They're super valuable when you're trying to shred or at least put a little ambiance right before going back to a root note or a dominant or a subdominant. So, having said that, going through these, seeing how they lay over the top, the patterns, when you move through them, you can move this whole pattern right here to get the minor third, and then have your fingers here. See how the fingers kind of crawl like little spiders? But the truth is, when you play a minor third, try and play it with your pointer finger and then your pinky. When you play a major second, try to do it with your first finger and your ring finger. It will be hard at the beginning, but you don't want to exclude your pinky or your ring finger. Even though, you might not use them a lot when you're playing your chords. You might be doing your chords like this. You can exclude some fingers and then use those for some awesomeness later. Moving on to this, if this is 4 and this is 6, of course, this one's going to start at 6. And as I said, 3 and 5 are the most common pentatonic patterns that we're going to find. When you go here to the 6, and we have 6, it goes all the way to 6, 7, 8, 9. So 6 to 9. And then when we do 6 to 9 right here, right above it, we're going to have ourselves doing our major second run. So you can see, minor third, then our major second run. So we've got, here we had the same thing, and then same thing. So the pattern of same thing, same. Now we use our middle finger, and we're going to be moving it up that second. And because we didn't shift our fingers, we can get the top one, which is also that minor third, going from 6 to 9. So if you look, this top line, these two lines are the exact same patterns. This pattern is the exact same as this, but it shifts over. Again, to account for that minor third on that G string, the B needs to resolve back. Here we go. When we do all these together, you can find yourself moving through the patterns one at a time, but what I would suggest is to do them at your own pace. If you're playing with a pick them. Try them downstrokes, try upstrokes, try alternate picking, try economical picking. The only advice I could say is, in the beginning of doing this, go super slow. Put on a backing track or a click track, and when you're doing it, do them linearly to hear the notes, and then start to progressively make patterns out of them. Let's just take this third one as an example. If we did this 6, 9, and then we had an 8, 9, and then we resolve back to our 6, 8, 6, 8, and then if we had something along, that's just utilizing notes from the pentatonic. But then being able to come up with different feelings, like you would be able to see how moving your fingers around and coming up with your own patterns at a very slow pace is not only intriguing and interesting and fun, but allows you to noodle around. The caveat is, if you keep your thumb on the back of your fretboard when doing this, and try to view those 4 notes as being like 6, 7, 8, and 9, you have the ability then to kind of do like slides into one of those notes. So you could practice that. You could do backwards. You could go forwards and skip a note. When you do alternating patterns, like let's say this is our root position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just out of those 6 notes, try playing like 1, 6, 1, 6, 1, 3, 5, 6, 1, 3, 5, 6. That reminds me of a Zappa song right away. Boom, boo, doo, boo, doo, 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 doo. Okay. The next one we would go over here, if we were at 6 to 9, of course, we're going to start here at the 9. Our 9th fret has our 9. You're going to want to start again on your second fingering, 9 to an 11. You're going to play 9 to 11. Then we've got you betcha, 8 to 11, 8 to 11, and then 9 to 11, 9 to 11. Although this one's very common, I don't know if this is the most common. I think one of the most commons is this. You can see these crossovers right here because they work wonderfully with like bends as well. Those 2 dyads. And then fifth pattern, when we get it, we're going to be taking this all the way 2, 4, 4, 6, 6, 9, 9, 11, and then 11. 11 here, first finger, is going to be controlling the whole board. The reason why I called this one the most recognizable one is this is the one that most teachers teach students so they could jam over chords, progressions, concepts. When playing something along the lines of this, we're going to be moving up from this minor third, and then the next one we're going to see obviously is our second, major second, and then our B string and our E string are going to do the same thing as this low string did. So we would have 11, 14, 11, 13, 11, 13, 11, 13, 11, 14, 11, 14. Again, I cannot stress this enough. When playing, go slow. Put on a click track. Get a piece of paper out. Write down on a piece of paper what your notes are and visualize them. Even though you might not be a singer, try a hum along with them. In the beginning, if you could do ha 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 da 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 ha ha ha, you will be able to go through a process of tuning your voice internally, what your mind and your voice and your throat and your breathing and your centerness will be able to show you. And then when playing them on a fretted instrument and moving it around, your fingers, if they stay within these 4 finger patterns and have 1 finger extension to go down and 1 finger extension to go up, you then can add all the really cool stuff you've been working on. Hammer-ons, pull-offs, bends, slides, dyads, playing full triad chords and then trying to do a riff in between and then moving them. So no matter what instrument that you're playing on, even if it's on the saxophone, you can take some of that fun knowledge and show it to other people. So if you also play a little ukulele, this is fun too. C major, since we're in it. We have our C, our D, our E, we have our G, the open A, and then C again. Use it a lot with the C, adding that major 7th to give it a little slide into the root, and then also kind of walking up. You could use dyads and move it along the whole fretboard. Just because you're playing in something like C major doesn't mean you need to see it as C major. You can use all of your modes. Ionian, you could use Dorian. And remember, if you don't know how to use modes, there's many people that teach how to play modes, but the beauty and the aha moment, I call it, is when you sit down and you play like Phrygian, and then you go, where are my half steps? E to F is my first half step, which is why Phrygian is so cool. If you find yourself playing an E Phrygian and you've got doing like an E minor, then an F over the top, F minor, and that G is causing tension in both. You can have your E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. These are all the notes of E Phrygian. It feels good to use those minor second movements in the key of C major. It's between E and F and B to C. So E to F is great. B to C. Those are the 2 defining things that make Phrygian what it is. Just like when we aforementioned Lydian in the key of, let's say, F major. F major would have F, G, A, B. So when you're doing like something like a F major to C major, you could have your Lydian If you hover around that B and that makes that the focal point, you don't have to overplay it like I was, but hint at it with your runs and then throw a pentatonic mood in there. You've got your F major. Well, what is the F major pentatonic? F, G, A, and then you skip B anyways. You would go to C, and then you would go to D. So if you played all those notes, you have cool runs that can be found. You could even go down to the relative minor of F. Let's hear it. 3 down would be F. What's right before F? E. What's before E? D. So D minor shares the key signature with F major. So if we were to play F major, G minor, A minor, B flat major, C major, D minor, and view that as our pentatonic, we would have 1, the D. We would then have what? What's our flat 3? It's all the same as it was in the key of F. F, G, A, C, D. So we would go from D to F. You got it. And then we're just going to continue. And hear how, since the tonality of that minor, you can use in the key of D minor, C sharp would be called the leading tone. So it would be the harmonic minor note. Then pentatonic. Utilize that B natural from the Lydian. And then go back to some of your pentatonics. You can move around with this and have fun making your own patterns no matter what instrument you're playing on. I guarantee you, if you sit down with a piece of paper, where's the pen? And you write out your notations of 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 1, 3, 2, 3, 5, 6. 1, 5, 3, 2, 6, 3. 1, 3. See how they're all starting with the prime or the D or F in the key of F major or D minor. If you're in the key of C, it would be C or A. You then would be able to write as many of these as you wanted to. I'm not going to go into it. And then move that 1 to the end. And then see how that sounds. Maybe you like the idea of having the 1 there on the end, but you want to see what all these numbers do because you changed those. So put your 1 there and then put those numbers back here. They don't have to be in phrasings of ba, ha, 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 ha. You could have them in huge phrasings. Then you would be getting into different notations. Like maybe you do these as an 8th note, and then a tuplet, and then quarter, da 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 da. So when you're playing these out and having some fun seeing them, something, how about in the key, how about keeping it C again? If we're doing some sort of shell chording down here, like, actually no B in there. See these notes as having a major third, major second, perfect. Actually, not perfect. That's a augmented, because that would be a third. So that's an augmented third, or you would just call it a perfect fourth. Keeping with our 5th, you could do that too because it's part of our C. And then finding maybe like feels like Rufus Rainway. You can move through to your different keys, and if you can do it in C major, by all means, you can move up and do it in G, because G is super close. Many of the fingerings would have you go 1, 2, 3 under, and the idea is to go slow and add speed. When you set yourself up by playing in middle C to C5 to C6, you can work these up multiple octaves, but I wouldn't discount playing below C. Sometimes when you're playing out with other people, you'd find that there's a lot of people playing. Sometimes holding down just like a major third, and then playing around with those is good filler behind the chords of what might be like a 1, 4, 5 pattern. So trying to stick within the groove, use different notes, and then find patterns. What we talked about was like maybe a 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and then maybe a 2, 3, 1, 5, 6. Fun little notes can be made, and you can use different fingerings, but what you'll find is if you practice it with different ways and you avoid that F like the plague and the B like the plague, you'll get used to seeing these chords as being something you want to stay away from, unless that's part of the chord. Unless you're playing like a 4 chord, 5 chord, 1 sus, then back to a 1. Little plagle there. Anywho, I hope that some of this helped alleviate the tension that are the pentatonics. I know that this is more string theory, but this is the same pattern recognition you would see for any instrument, whether it's 4-string, 3-string, 1-string. All of these have the same patterns. They just depend on the tuning. If you're tuned like a mandolin where you're not tuned in your fourths there, you will find yourselves doing the same types of patterns and they all fit together. So the last thing I want to leave you on here is the patterns that we use for our major scales are these 3 types. When you learn these 3 types of patterns, you will see them all over the fretboard, no matter what instrument you're on. This is a whole step, and it looks like this. When you put these 2 patterns together, since this is that note, this is the pattern that it makes. 2nd fret, 4th fret, 6th fret. When we see this pattern, that is a whole tone, and then we have a half tone. Here we have the half tone, and then the whole tone. You can see as these are exact opposites, and these 2 are exact opposites from this. So when you have something like this, you have a major scale. Ha 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 ha. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every time that you see these patterns, you can associate them with these. Like even if we were to take this note and put it right here, you would see that these would then line up. Boom, boom. This one moves over. That one will move over. This toner, oh, you know what, I messed that up, sorry. This one is that one. So these tones would be the ones that are moving over. These tones are already there. I would need another fret right here, but that would then be these. By putting this right here, you can see how pattern 1 now has all your notes. And then the last thing I want to explain for the pentatonics is how to stay in your home bass. Each one of these is called a pentatonic for a reason. It's based off of 5 notes, and the root note determines what the feel for these will be. So the ones that are here that I try to get a darker marker to put in highlight, we would see that as being our central tone. If we were playing in the key of, let's say, I don't know, C major. No, D major. We would see that here on the 1st fret, this would be F sharp. This would be our 3rd. When we do F sharp, G, G sharp. Well, G sharp's not in the key of D, so this would be E. How about we call it E? E, F sharp. This is our 2 and 3. So our open note would be our E right here. See how this pattern that we were just talking about arises right there? This pattern that we were just talking about arises out of the 2nd, and then so on and so forth. So having said that, take all of these patterns, play them individually, one at a time, spend a week or 2 on just one pattern. Try to play that same pattern in backing tracks over the key of C, A major, G major, and D major. These are the first 4 keys that have sharps. Then do the same thing with F major, B flat, E flat, and A flat. Again, the first 4. If you could do that, you've got 4 sharp keys, 4 flat keys, and C major. That means 9 keys to rock this out in. You're only missing a few. There's only 15 in total. Hypothetically, if you know your fretboard, you could then do hypothetical keys like D sharp or G sharp. Yes, we do write in these, but hardly ever will you find a song that's written in, B sharp, unless it's for piano and it's classical. You will not find a rock and roll band going, this is in B sharp. We just write it in C. Much easier. So, all these are the pattern preferences for your instrument. What I would suggest is finding a YouTube channel that you really connect with. I hope it's this one. If not, find somebody that really strikes that chord with you, and then be able to translate whatever they're doing, whether if it's saxophone, piano, an oud, or a lute. If they can explain it in a manner that you understand, take little tiny bits and pieces of that and add it to your vocabulary and play every day. If you play an instrument every day for 5 minutes, I guarantee you, when watching music theory channels like this, some of these things will sink in. Remember, if you're watching this in the future and you have to ask a question, please ask it. If I don't know the answer, I will get to you. And I love doing these on Tuesdays just so I could kind of break the mold. I'll have a resource for the students that I teach here in Hilo, Hawaii. If you're in Hawaii at the Big Island, you want to get a one-off lesson, come on by. I do single lessons. And then if you live here and you're watching this, come by and say hello. I would love to see you. We can talk story. Other than that, we're going to be having open workshops that are going to be taking place every first Saturday of every month next year. The first hour is going to be family ukulele. So bring your family, grab your ukulele, and come down, learn some fun songs, and teach other people as well. And then after that, to follow an open workshop. If you have songs that you want to play but you have no clue how to do them, let's say you want to carry on our wayward son, but you have no clue how to play, we will teach you. All we need to do is have a group of people together that can take a song, dissect it, break out the different parts, listen to the rhythms, find the actual notes and intonation of these, and then show you where to play them on your fretboard or on the piano or how to sing these notes. The idea is nothing's perfect the first time you do it, but if we get together each month on the first Saturday, I guarantee you will find people at these workshops that'll be able to, strike that chord with you that makes you want to just keep doing music. So, again, if you have any questions, check us out on Tuesday. On Mondays, same time, 9 to 10, I show people how to chart songs. I've been charting songs that I've just written over the last year or so. Nothing special to those songs. In fact, most of the time I go through them and I find flubs or errors. So it's a great way to go back and check, almost like analysis on your own stuff. I don't remember writing all these songs, so it's always new to me as well. And other than that, the last thing I want to leave you with is, if you're learning an instrument and this all seems daunting, take a deep breath, slow down, work on one thing, show it to somebody, and then ask them for feedback on what they can show you and tell you. I gotta tell you, I've been playing music for a long time. Every single time I play or teach or observe anything, I always learn something. Whether about myself or how the world works, or about music and more in depth, how it affects me and how it affects others. So Tuesdays, come out, ask some questions if you want to. If not, there's like 10,000 something videos on this channel. I hope you find something that toots your frenzy. Put a thumbs up, subscribe, and send this to somebody if you could. Oh, thank you. Aloha, Mrs. Howard. Aloha. And for everyone else out there in TV land, be awesome to each other. Aloha.